In this tutorial, we're going to look at musical stingers. So you may not want your entire piece of music to transition to a new piece, but you may just want to highlight particular events that go on in the game. So we're going to import our music. So we've got 3 stingers here and a looping background. Okay, I'm going to put them in there, make a separate group for this lot, create a queue. Now this one's going to have a loop in it, the stingers are not. So we've got a bit of old school game music going on here. Lovely. And then some stingers over the top. So we're going to go into Kismet. Now in a minute we're going to be using these dynamic trigger volumes, so when you jump on the lily pads you're going to get a musical reward of a little stinger playing. First of all, we'll set off the background music, so when the level is loaded up we will play the background sound, which is this one, and that's just going to loop around. And it's going to play into the player's ears, so we'll target that. And then when we jump on a lily pad we get a touched event out of here, and we'll just choose one of the stingers to play for the moment. And again we'll play that back to the player. So if we save that package and then start our game. So here I've got to jump across the lily pads to get to the other side. And when I land on it I get a little stinger, and I could connect up all the rest of the lily pads to our stinger sound. Like so. Now it may be that your stinger needs to work with the music in a particular way, and that you prefer it to land on, say, a beat of the music that's playing underneath. You might have the piece underneath changing chords, and you want different stingers depending on which chord is playing at which time. So what we're going to set up now is some rhythmic control of when stingers are actually going to play. So we're going to add a gate. Now the gate is going to be taking the input from a delay, and this is about the time of beat in our music at the moment. So when the level starts I'm going to start that delay. The delay is going to loop round and also go in through the gate, which is going to play our stinger. However, the gate is only going to be opened by these dynamic touches. So when you land on a lily pad, the gate will open, and that means that the stinger will only play back at a musical point, which is controlled by this delay signal. And as soon as the gate is played once, it's going to close itself again. Now we want to make sure that this stays in time with our looping background, so I'm going to go in here and get rid of that, and I'm going to control that loop by using a counter. So an int counter is going to start at 0 and count up to 16, and when it reaches 16 it's going to go through and re-trigger that background loop. And a counter is going to be incremented by this delay, so everything is going to hopefully be locked in time. When that reaches 16, I obviously want to go back and reset, so I'm going to have a set variable here. It's going to go back and reset our A amount back to 0, so we can start counting through 16 beats again. Okay, so just to recap, the level starts, the background starts playing, and then we have basically a pulse coming out of the delay. When that reaches 16, it goes back round, re-triggers the background music. It's also going through with gate, so that we play the musical stingers on that beat, and the gate is only opened by these. So it's opened, and then when the next time the delay comes through, which is going to be on a musical pulse, it's going to go through and play our stinger. The other thing we might want to do is create a bit of variation in that stinger, so open up the sound cue. Let's get rid of that for a moment. So I'll select all 3 of my stingers, and I will have them a random choice between them. Okay, so let's play the level. Okay, so you can hear this time just sounds a bit nicer because it's now in time with the background music. And if you have a look at the book, there's an extended method to this where we're counting which bars we're actually in. So what we could have is a changing chord sequence playing underneath and picking from different groups of stingers depending on what chord is currently playing. So we've looked at how to have simple transitions between pieces of music, and then we've said, okay, can we make that a bit more musical? And now a brief illustration of stingers, so we don't necessarily transitioning whole scale between 2 different pieces of music, we can just accent small pieces of action. And in the next tutorial we're going to be looking at how we can have musical layers going on vertically and mute and unmute them and bring them up and down in volume, so we have a slightly more kind of analog control over the musical intensity.